Previously on Divorce Court. And where are you all living right now?
Me and my 5 kids are currently staying in a hotel.
Where is Mrs. Damali staying?
Mr. Damali is sleeping in his van. Mr. Damali was still transitioning, going back and forth, because he was still kind of drinking at that time. He could barely keep a job.
But Mr. Damali, you living in your van right now.
By choice.
But I can't imagine that any woman wants to build a life with a man that's living in a van. I mean, I'm gonna be blunt with you.
He worked for a property. With his job came with an apartment. But then the apartment that she said we was getting was not really, but I was like, okay, it's better than where we at. Kelsey proceeds to say, F her, F the apartment, walked out.
You were inebriated, and that's what made you turn up.
That's what happened.
Why'd you sabotage yourself like that?
That's not what happened. I'm not gonna own that.
This is what I go.
So talk to me. Tell me what happened, sir. After you left working on the apartment, where'd you go?
I went to this gas station that I always go to. I went and they got me 2 beers. I didn't even open the beer yet. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I went and I parked in the parking lot. I knew I was frustrated, so I sat outside in my van. I drank 2 beers, I left again. Never went up to the room where she was. Never went up there. I left, I went back to the store and got 2 more beers.
Okay, so now we up to 4 beers.
I did that.
And you knew you had to work the next day?
Yeah, I've done that before. I have problems sleeping. I drink to go to sleep and to deal with my problems.
So it tells me right now that you are an alcoholic and you are self-medicating.
I have a problem that I need help with, yes.
You do realize that this problem made you self-sabotage a situation that could have helped you and your family. Because you go back to the job the next day, right? You go over to the new apartment the next day. Why'd you curse Miss Williams out in front of the people?
That night, when I went and I got all those drinks.
Yes, sir?
I sat in my van, I drank my beer. She came down and she said something to me. I'm already expecting her to be upset with me anyway.
I wasn't.
I was out, and like she said, she wasn't. And when I found out that she wasn't, I started feeling bad about what I had done. From what I had said to her, to just assuming that she was angry, and the way that I was responding because I thought that she was angry.
Cut to the chase. Because, Mr. Damali, I'm gonna tell you something. This sounds like somebody that's going to be giving me a long, extensive story. You had to be somewhere the next day. It was someplace that was going to give you a leg up. Why did you go into that place and cause such a ruckus that you ended up not getting the job, not getting the apartment?
Oh, he still have his job. But the apartment, he cannot afford the apartment. It was going in, but I was going to pay to get into the apartment.
I couldn't afford
So you self-sabotaged the family?
Yes.
You caused the family not to get the apartment. Is that what it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a reason behind that, sir? I'm trying to get to the reason.
There is no reason. I felt attacked. I got frustrated. I was in a bad place at the time.
It sounds like you are in a bad place quite often, to be honest with you. I think you heard me when I said the influence this is having on your children.
Yes, ma'am. I want to speak on that, too.
Yes, ma'am.
As far as the impact on my kids don't like riding with Kelsey. We have, of course, he's the only one with the van right now because he messed up my car last year, so I don't have my car. So when it comes down to my 3 oldest kids, my 3 oldest kids, they go to night school. My two youngest, they go to day school. So night school is between 6 and 8. So it's time for them to go to school. He coming in from work. Sometimes he may be all right, but then there's other times where he have a whole attitude where he driving. My baby has anxiety now. She has real bad anxiety from his driving. She don't like him driving, she said, because he swerves, especially when we have an argument. He jerking. I'm talking about we dipping. We going long back road.
Do you drink and drive?
No, I do not drink and drive, and that is a lie, too. I do not. When I get angry or upset, I do get a heavy foot, but all that swerving, I don't drive like that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, he do.
Why are y'all together?
I really don't know at this point, because I'm growing and I'm maturing and I have my kids, and I can't keep doing this. Because like you said, it's not only affecting me, it's affecting my babies. And my babies, I want to keep that light that they respect me and value, and we could talk. I want to keep that with my kids. I don't
And
want
I'm
them to
glad
feel
that
like
you said that, because I've asked your oldest son, Richard Jones, to join me, because I don't want to put the little ones in that position, but I'm wondering if your son can tell me what's going on within the home. And sometimes it helps for you to hear from your children how it's affecting them. So, Robert, would you please ask young Mr. Richard Jones to join us right now? Sure. And I have your permission to have him talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Jones.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you today?
Good, how are you, y'all?
I'm good, sir. I appreciate you so much coming in, because I want to find out what's going on with you and your siblings in this, what I see as a toxic relationship. What do you think about the relationship that your mom has with Mr. Damali?
From my perspective and majority of my sisters and brothers, we feel like the relationship is very unhealthy. It's very toxic, unhealthy, and it's like very unstable. Like,
so you all are right now living in one room, trying to be a family, and you're watching all of this unfold. Am I correct?
yes, ma'am.
And all your siblings are younger than you. You're 18 years old. You have brothers and sisters, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
They see all this, am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
How do they react and respond?
I mean, well, I have a little brother, like my youngest brother. He clings to Kelsey, Mr. Damali. He clings to him a lot. So although him and my mama, they go through a lot of stuff, like, he'll be mad at him or whatever, but he ain't gonna be like how everybody else would be mad at him. Like, he'll be mad at him, but he'll still be wanting to be up under him. And Kay'll be like, or it'll be sometime where he'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm going ahead and...
So your younger brother has attached himself to
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Damali.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Damali, you know what you're doing to that young boy? That young boy is loving on you. And he's seeing the example that you're setting for him. Is that what you're trying to say, Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am.
He loves on you, which means he's getting his example of what a man is from you, sir.
I want to change that. Even if not for this family, I want to change that for me. I want this family. At this point, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think that, I don't know. I just feel like I'm in a place where I don't belong.
Although my mama has a 14-year difference between her and Kelsey, she's not mature enough to be like, okay, I'm a woman. I'm very strong-willed. I can be independent without a male. Which when she's not with a male, she does good. But when she gets with one, I need him. And that's what I feel like we at with Kelsey at this point.
You may be the youngest person in the room, but you certainly are the most mature in that household. What have you witnessed?
I witnessed a lot of arguments, a lot of disrespect on both ends. Some infidelities on both ends as well. They both humiliate each other in different ways. Kelsey likes to do it in verbal or speaking, or he does it in front of people. She likes to do it in-house, but it's still humiliation either way you look at it. Some of the things that Kelsey does say does be relevant because of some of the harbor feelings that he do have. A lot of things that my mama say be relevant, but they also come from feelings that they both have harbored. They both have a hard time with talking to each other. They both need to grow. They both need more maturing. Although my mama has a 14-year difference between her and Kelsey, there's not much maturity on each end. Like, she's not mature enough to be like, okay, I'm a woman. I'm very strong-willed. I can be independent without a male. Which when she's not with a male, she does good. But when she gets with one, she tends to rely on them and feel like, okay, well, I got a man, so I need him. And if they don't fall through, they just don't fall through. And that's what I feel like we at with Kelsey at this point, because at certain situations, like with us supposed to be them moving, we not moving. We still finna be considered homeless. Even though it's not homeless, we still considered homeless. So therefore, I feel like that was a fault of her depending on him.
I have to tell you, you may be the youngest person in the room, but you certainly are the most mature in that household, because you have articulated the problems up one side and down the other in a manner in which I have not heard many adults come in this courtroom and articulate it. Both people bear responsibility for the demise of this relationship. Both people bear responsibility for the lack of communication.
Yes, ma'am.
How does it make you feel to see your mother struggle to take care of all of you?
I mean, it makes me feel like bad. Like all the things my mama taught me and raised me up on believing, like the way she showed me she was when I was a little kid, I don't really, like I believe in my mama still, but I don't believe in her in that way. Not how I did when I was very young, only because I've seen her go through situations. And it's not because she went through situations, it's because she became weak in those situations.
Oh,
Did not,
Lord, have mercy.
and could not be a strong-willed woman as if she showed it to me. She told me that every woman deserves a strong male that's gonna respect them and also be there for them when they hurt and down bad. And just like a woman, just like a male deserves a woman who's gonna be there for them when they down bad and need help. But in this situation, it's not like that. They take situations of, okay, boom, well, you helped me, so I owe you. It's not a, I help you, so I'm gonna help you. It's, I helped you, so I owe you. And that's how she look at a lot of situations, and I feel like that's how Kelsey look at a lot of situations.
Never.
Let me tell you something. No, it's not about cutting anybody off. That's his perception. And he's entitled to his perception because he's seeing what you are conveying, Mr. Damali.
I don't understand why, though, because I would give the shirt off my back to either one of them and would not want or expect anything back.
If my mama would learn to not depend on a male so much, because she don't depend on people, she depend on men. She don't depend on other women, she depend on men. But it's not gonna always be that way.
Young man, don't come in my courtroom trying to take my job, because you are doing an amazing job. If you'd like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed a show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms and follow us on social media for exclusive content.
I'm not saying you expect anything per se. I'm saying that you're giving that because you feel like you owe that.
Okay, I understand that. But that's not what it is. I do that because that's what I'm supposed to do.
So what about when you don't do it and don't want to?
Anytime I don't do something because I don't want to, that's messed up on me. I'm not that messed up.
But wait a minute, Mr. Damali, what young Mr. Jones just said is that kind of tit for tat then makes her do the exact same thing, and that's where the conflict arises. I want to be very clear on what the young man is saying. And that is something that's tremendous insight from a young person. He used to respect his mother and her independence and her strongness. And he used to respect the fact that you pull yourself up when you have been down. But then the choices that you have made are not living the examples you tried to set for these children. Is that what I heard, Mr. Jones?
Yes, ma'am. And can I say, Your Honor, it did not start with Kelsey. It did not. My mama does not know how to be in a, she's never had a healthy relationship. Either she had somebody using her or either playing on her vulnerabilities, or she had someone who's just like, okay, well, you're gonna listen to me, you're gonna do this, and I'm gonna tell you when to do this, and you're gonna listen.
So it's toxic at any level?
Yeah, it's toxic at any level.
So I'm going to ask you to sit in my spot for a minute. If you could give some advice to Miss Williams and Mr. Damali, what would you say?
I would tell Mrs. Damali first. I feel like that he just got a lot of maturing to do because he does lack maturity in a lot of areas, and he also needs to just be more strong-willed. I believe if he was more strong-willed, other than not being disrespectful and things of that nature, I mean strong-willed as of I'm the head and I'm gonna take on the head responsibility. I feel like if he did that a little more instead of trying to be like, oh, well, they stopping me, or, oh, well, you got kids, or, oh, well, it's this, or it's that, or making excuses, then everything will be more better. And I feel like if my mama would learn to not depend on a male so much, because she don't depend on people, she depend on men. When she get with men, she don't depend on other women, she depend on men. She won't ask another woman for nothing, but she'll ask her male for something, and if he can't give it, then she's stuck. Because she will be done had it and will be done spent it, thinking that, okay, my man got me because I'm with a man. But it's not gonna always be that way.
Young man, don't come in my courtroom trying to take my job, because you are doing an amazing job.
I apologize.
No, you just doing an amazing job. You might have put your foot in a lot of things, but the one thing you did right was this young man right here.
Thank you.
Because this young man is an extremely impressive young man. I would be so proud if you were my son. I would be so proud because the manner in which you analyze and articulate and care is the most impressive thing that I've seen in a long time in this courtroom. You know, you're a great example for your young brothers and sisters.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I'm going to say to both your mother and to Mr. Damali might be difficult for the both of you to hear, but you individually have to work on yourselves. You are never going to work together as a unit until you bring two whole individuals to the relationship. And you are two broken people. Mr. Damali, you need rehab. You need inpatient rehabilitation so that you can detox and get all of that out of you. And then you need the rehabilitation part of it, where you can learn to not self-medicate when you are frustrated or angry. And that would be your recovery. That will be your start of recovery. If you want, my courtroom can help you with that. But you've got to want it, because the last thing that I'm going to do is offer something to somebody who's not willing to put in the work.
I've done that just recently, like 6 months ago.
But you're not clean and sober yet, are you?
No, I'm not.
You relapse because you don't stick with it. So you and I are going to have to determine whether or not you are really ready to make a change. And then I'm going to turn to you, Miss Williams. I don't think I could say it any better than your son. It's time you stand on your own 2 feet. It's time for you to stop depending on a man to be your savior. It's time for you to save yourself. You are 40-something years old. You have daughters that are going to watch you. They're going to get their example of what kind of young women they want to be from you. And more importantly, your sons are going to get the example of how they should treat a woman from you and what a woman will accept. And that is not the example you want to give them.
No, ma'am.
I am really grateful that Mr. Jones, young Mr. Jones, is in this house, because he is going to be my eyes and ears. And you, young man, you keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't let anybody take you off your path.
Yes, ma'am.
This may not be the example of what you want, but it should be the example of what you don't want. And if you keep going down your path with your wonderful core values, you will get what you want. You will get what you deserve, and you stand in that unique space God has created for you.
Yes.
It's been an honor to talk to you today. Young people, do better. Miss Williams, Mr. Damali, do better. If for no other reason, you've got 5 lives, plus 2, 7 lives. Depend on you doing a whole heck of a lot better. And it's gonna take a long road to get to where you need to be. The first day starts.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I love you though. I still love you. too, man.
We gonna work it out. I heard you. I know we gonna get it together. I love you.
I have to tell you, my assistant court clerk here
Right.
just laid the whole situation out for them. But the sad part about it was, I think his mother heard him for the first time. And if she cares about that family, she will walk straight back home,
Right.
get her kids, and start to make moves to fix that family.
Yes.
I hope that he takes us up on rehabilitation, because if he doesn't get rehab, he's gonna die in that van. Mark my words.
I believe it.
All alone.